What's up, friends, and welcome back to episode number 2 of Noobs in Disguise. My name is Harstem, and I'm joined here today by Lambo, who has brought me a very special replay. Lambo, tell me all about it.
Well, I looked through the mails that we got with the different replays, and this one said it was a ZvZ. So it's the only ZvZ that we got, and since I was in charge of the searching for the correct replay, I figured this will be perfect. He also said that it was very interesting, and that's the only thing he really said about the game. So, so far, yeah, it's. I really take whatever I can get. There weren't that many replays, but since this one was a ZvZ, that's really the one thing that convinced me.
That it was an interesting game, or that it was a ZvZ?
That it was a ZvZ, which I know makes everybody happy. It had to be interesting as well. Otherwise, you don't send in a ZvZ. So I had high hopes for this one.
That's actually true. That's a very good point. No one ever dares sending in a PvP, a TVT, or a ZvZ unless it's a very special game. Like the minimum standard of a game like that being casted or being looked at in general is just a lot higher. I also use this trick when going through Loco's channel. Whenever there's a ZvZ, I'm like, oh, that has some potential, and I boot it up for my dinner. And otherwise, the CVT, it's too standard. It's always good. It's nothing special. With the ZvZ, I like it. All right, they've been chatting quite a bit here so far. Harstem fan and Lambro. Thanking each other for not insta-leaving. So that's definitely a big tip here, what type of MMR this is. I'm not entirely sure if I've ever seen anyone insta-leave in the past, 2.5 years. But apparently it's a common occurrence at this MMR. Both players are opening up with a hedge first, though, Lambo. Pretty standard.
Yeah, it looks not too bad so far. They got that thing right. You are looking at Harstem fan, by the way. It's the person that sent in the replay. Lambro, I'm not sure the red Zerk here, if he blocked his drones there with the pool a little bit, but it looks fine. Other than that, it's honestly so far everything looks normal. Like this could be anything from now.
Yeah, it's Babylon as well. It's a fantastic map. I was listening to someone else's stream. Sometimes you shouldn't be listening to other people's streams because it just gets your blood boiling. I think I was listening to Rotti's stream and I was having a Terran tell Rotterdam that this is a fine map for Terran versus Protoss, about 50-50. Meanwhile, in reality, I see this map being vetoed first every single time by every Protoss player with a brain. It's absolutely insane. How is it in ZvZ, though? Obviously, it's not going to be imbalanced, but there has to be, some people must like it. There's a little bit of a ramp. Rush distance isn't too long. Like, what does this map usually favor?
It's good for people that like to open with 2 base. It's good for people that like to open with aggression. It's not the most tricky map, so the larger maps you can get away with Muda or some weird strategies. This one is more of a standard Roach map. It's good for Roach or Lens. Yeah, it's a really standard map. It's good for the type of stuff that Harstem fan is doing right now, which is a 2 base wall of build, for example.
This actually does look pretty tight-ish, isn't it? Except there's speed.
Tight-ish, yeah.
Nah, never mind. There's speed, there's an Evo chamber already. For a second, I thought this guy was playing gasless initially, but he isn't. So he has the speed, goes for +1 range, and has a Roach Warren. And this is not something I'm super familiar with. On the other hand, we have... I feel like this guy, the red player, he's a little bit more... He kind of wants to play correct, He's building like some blind banelings in case there's a link flood. He built a spine crawler because he has no clue what's going on right now. Look, he even sends in the link scout. Look at that. This guy's a professional watcher.
Yeah, the scout is actually pretty big. The spine, though, is definitely a little bit of overkill. He also was supply blocked for a solid minute already at 36, which means he's off to a rocky start already, far down in minerals.
Yeah, he doesn't have that many workers at the moment as well. I love, though, that he's scouting. Then he sees no units there. He sees a full saturation basically on 2 base. Look, I'm down 10 workers. Let me finish the spine crawler and build 5 more links. It's an interesting call as well. Love to see it. It's a calm game though. Like in my mind, I guess at the lower levels, it's all in or nothing. A lot of the time, right? There's not a lot of pressure back and forth. People would just forget the macro and always feels bad to not macro at all. So I feel like often one of the things you see is just all in. But there is some control. The APMs, look at that. 242 average from our blue Zerk and 93 for the red Zerk. Huh.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, both of them have opened super safe. The red Zerk player against 2 base, obviously you don't really want to make a baning nest. he made 3 blind banelings as well as making some blindlings and a blind spine crawler. So
no, the spine crawler was not blind. He started it blind, but he finished it. There was intention behind it. Okay, I'm not gonna give him the credit of that being blind. So that was a bad decision. Okay, he knew what he was up against. And the call was incorrect.
Yeah, I mean for sure. But both of them are playing super safe, so I think they're both used to getting all in, and now they're just happy to play a normal ZvZ. At the beginning, they were talking about people leaving ZvZs on the ladder. So just not liking the matchup, but they seem to be a fan of it, and they're fully embracing it with a macro game. They're both making some units, some drones, some units again, which is not really the way they're supposed to be played, but hey, they're free to do whatever.
You're gonna let them play for now.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at it. This is interesting as well. This man is only building roaches so far, and is starting the +1 melee upgrade. Now, I think I'm familiar with this one. I think he just realized one of his evos wasn't doing anything and his lair hadn't finished. And was like, nah, got some cash left over. Might as well start the +1 melee. I actually truly believe that this is what happened. It's not the end of the world. He also started the 2 spines and a spore crawler in case of roach burrow or mutalisk, I guess, but only at 1 base. So this is a very peculiar spore. Like in PvZ, in ZVP or ZVT, I can imagine just getting 1, you know, in case like a liberator or in an oracle, you know, you don't need it at all bases, but in ZvZ, it's either all bases or no bases, no? I don't think I've ever seen this.
Yeah, that's new. Sometimes you get only 1 for a drop lord, but this is obviously not the case here. I know I sometimes only get 1 when I think, okay, there might be a Banshee, and then I'm just guessing at which base this is coming. So I think that's across what he's thinking right now in his mind. He's like, okay, if this is Muta, and he's going to my 3rd base, I'm safe. Surely it won't be Muta and he's going to my main or natural.
This is not like not having a door in your back door because you hope that the burglars only come through the front. It's not a very secure play, but I do like the thought of having the front door ready in position.
What are the chances they're checking on the back? I mean, if they see the door at the front, they're just going to the next house that doesn't have a door at the front. So.
Yeah, which idiot wouldn't have a door in the back, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point. Just go to the next guy, see if he has a door in the front. Also, hell of a burglar. 4th base on the way for our blue Zerg player. There's actually some roach battles going on. Superior upgrades for blue. Can he fight this then with +1 or?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if he gets on top of the Ravagers, he's actually the micros. Okay, it was decent until he moved command forward for way too long, and now I think he's losing the fight, even though the Red Zerg doesn't have any upgrades.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happened there. Red is also floating a decent chunk of money right here. I think we have 2k in the bank, but only minerals. Not as keen on gas.
Yeah, usually I see the other way around. Zergs always take their gas too early. I think he has heard this from too many YouTubers, so now he's taking it way too late. Which is also a thing. If you're producing Roach Ravager only, you do need the gases at some point, you know?
Yeah, ideally both of the resource counters are very close to 0. So if one of them is very high and the other one very low, you might want to try and rebalancing that. Blue here is getting an infestation pit already, continuing the upgrades. I like the heavy focus on the upgrades and the tech. You know, this guy really is kind of establishing himself as the techie guy, like the nerd of the two. The other one is a bit more primitive, just building roaches, a couple of drones, now 2 links. Our blue Zerg player is thinking of a hive already. Hydra's in the mix as well. A more sophisticated army. Ooh, look at that. A 2nd infestation pit to get neural parasite and pathogen at the same time.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, he can then spend a bunch of his minerals with his +1 melee on extra Zerglings and then balance it out with infestation production, as we're used to in ZvZs. I'm very surprised none of them are doing anything, because usually, I think at a level masters or below, I think you should just, once you're maxed, you should just start trading. I think it's always a good call. Unless you're like super teching up, but I mean, I guess the blue Zerg player is kind of doing it. The red Zerg player is just waiting for the next move command of Harstem fan.
Yeah. Yeah, Harstem fan so far hasn't lied. This is indeed a very interesting game. We've now seen two roach armies standing still on their own creep for the past 2.5 minutes. I'm glad to be here. So far for the theory that every ZvZ that gets sent in must be really good. Feel like we're gonna need to work a little bit on that. But most scientific theories weren't perfect the first time around either, so still got something to do. This is a lot of hydras. Look at that split. He almost split the hydras. He was moving in the direction of splitting them. I saw the intention and it was very good. And now he has a concave. Ooh, that was slightly less good micro. Perhaps even some negative micro there. And regular A move might have just been better. I still kind of like what Harstem fan is doing. You know, the execution isn't perfect, but he's thinking about how he wants to fight. You know, he's looking at chokes. He has a concave sometimes. And yeah, I actually kind of like this. Like, it's obvious to me that this isn't like some like two complete clowns just going at it. You know, they realize when a losing fight is happening. They throw down biles and everything. They have a lot of workers though. Holy crap,
they do have a lot of workers. I think the red player's micro is actually quite a bit better. But Harstem fan has had the superior army. Now he has the hydras in front to tank for the roaches, which is not very common because then the roaches can't even shoot. And also the hydras don't have a lot of HP, so not the way you want to arrange your army, the way Harstem fan's army is looking right now.
Very uncommon move indeed. The highest DPS unit with the lowest HP in front, and the tanky units in the back that don't even have enough range to hit. No, but okay, you say the micro out of Lambro has been better, but he also has an easier army to control. And his micro has just been moving back and forth. Like, Harstem fan has tried to split at numerous occasions now, dodging biles as well. Forming concaves, and I feel like Harstem fan really looks at the map as well. You know, hold that thought though. Now he just attacks straight into a concave. I feel like both of them are kind of playing around the map. I like this.
Yeah, it's not bad. Although I feel like you're kind of biased towards Harstem fan, possibly just because of the name. Because he's been trying to split his army, but most of the time he's just move commanding towards his opponent with the front of his army. So not the best so far. I think he's had a really good lead, and now he actually morphed lurkers as well. He also got a bailing nest behind it just in case the lurker transition doesn't work. And now he's on top of his opponent's base. So I'm not sure he can engage his army anymore with the roaches. He needs to back off here. The red Zerg.
Yeah, I think the Zerg needs to... Actually, might want to go back to the lobby screen here. This seems pretty terrible.
I think it's fine. It's layer tag lurkers. You should never overestimate those. They have a mediocre range, and also they're not that fast to burrow, which means if you can catch them, or if you can get us around, it's possible to deal with them. And Lambro actually started 3-3 as well. Now, do you think this is high enough level for Lambro to start Vipers? Because that would be the obvious counter to what he's up against, but I'm not sure. I mean, you also need to keep track of how good our opponents are, right? Or how good either of them are.
I don't think so, no. So far, okay, so like I said, Lambro is the more primitive guy, honestly. Like, yeah, I'm not sure if it's the name that's giving me those vibes or just the army composition, but it's obvious to me he's not as sophisticated as his opponent, who is, you know, has a good grasp of the late game, understands unit compositions. Look, he's getting an Ultra Cavern, a Spire, Adrenal Glands. He is all avenues, all paths here are open. Well, your guy is, he's stuck on Roach Ravager and has been stuck on there for it. Now getting the adaptive talents, he probably heard about it at some point in his life. But look at this Ling run by. This is sophistication, like maximum level, like absolute max sophistication. Boom, Ling run by into the main base. Adrenal isn't even done yet. While slowly leapfrogging forward here with the lurkers. Or well, not really leapfrogging, but at least not losing them yet. Does he have seismic? No.
I am incredibly impressed that Lambro didn't just move his entire army towards the run-by. He kept the biggest part of his army where the lurkers of Harstem fan were, so Harstem fan can't move forward. Which is actually, I think this is quite advanced. Like he stole the roaches from his main hotkey group, I think that's how you call it, with the alt hotkey, and then defended the run-by quite decently. I'm not sure how you're talking about good army composition while your guy is getting a Greater Spire, Ultra Cavern. He has a Baning Nest? Like, what is a Baning Nest for?
Well, he doesn't know what his opponent... Okay, listen to this. Usually, his opponents are a little bit wild, you know? So he's ready for everything. And he can then just craft the perfect defensive army. This was an insane move, by the way, here out of Harstem fan. Just moving in, boom, sitting on top of this ramp as well. Once again, using the map. This is absolutely perfect. This is the high-level plays that we've kind of come to expect out of our blue Zerg here. Look at this. This is the second base he's going to take down with just, honestly, insane maneuvering. He's handicapping himself, not getting the seismic spines or the adaptive talent, or I guess it's about to finish up. And now handicapping himself even more by starting 11 Corruptors. This is an unheard move.
This is an unheard move. But to be fair, Lambro doesn't have a lot of anti-air. I mean, all you really need is a couple of Spores and a couple of Vipers. That counters an insane amount of Brute Lords, but with the activity that Lambro has shown so far on the map, I feel like he's not gonna see the Brute... There's Swarmos on the way! Why? This is very sophisticated, that's for sure, but I don't know about army composition, if that's good.
I think you're a little bit jealous that you hadn't thought of this yet. His opponent has Lurkers right now. Lurkers don't shoot up. Both Brute Lords and the Locust will be flying. So really double the counters here to the Lurkers. I'm absolutely in love with this. Look at this Roach run by as well. The only thing we're missing is tunneling Claws and Burrow, and this might as well have been Serral. These are some big snipes. I feel like I'm watching a highlight reel of Harstem fan here, but this is real time, guys. Like, I know the good moves are following each other at a rapid pace, but no, there's no cuts in here. This is all one take.
Another Roach run by, cancelling the base once again. And even saving some of the Roaches, possibly. He's not really looking at them, but...
Taking out the Extractor. Denying gas of his opponent.
Almost taking out an Extractor. This might be important for later on in the game.
Yeah.
Good Roach Board, though, from Lambro to surprise the Swarmos and regenerate HP.
I think Harstem fan was projecting there. He looked at his own gas count. I was like, I bet the other guy's also struggling. Because let's face it, doesn't have a whole lot of gas right now. Man, Harstem fan has a massive army. 6,675 minerals, 4.7k gas invested into this. And is there really a counter to the Brute Lord that can be controlled by Lambro? I don't think so.
So you're basically asking me if he can control Vipers.
Yeah.
Which is the counter. He's getting a Spire though. Maybe he can counter them with Corruptors. I don't even know why he's getting a Spire, but I guess the Brute Lord switch is common at this level.
This is the meta game here, my friend. I love how well these Swarmos did as well. Did you see that? Yeah. They swipe the base there. Boom! All the drones are gone out of this game, my friend. There's no counter to the Brutes here, right? Am I crazy?
Maybe Ravagers?
Nah. Look at the pre-splits, everything. No way, this guy's gonna get caught by 5 Biles.
Yeah. He is pushing forward with the Brute Lords, and I mean, there is not a lot of anti-air. He's making 11 Corruptors now, though, and all the Hydras are dying. The Lurkers are actually fighting the Hydras automatically, because it's the only thing that's left on the ground, together with the Broodlings. And Harstem fan is morphing the extra Hydras, the last couple of Hydras that he has, into Lurkers, so I feel like he's not seeing the Corruptor swap coming. Which, I mean, it is also an unconventional move, but one that might work here, because the only anti-air of Harstem fan at this point is 2 Hydras, who's reinforcing this push with 3 extra Swarm Hosts.
I like that, though. I like that. Going quickly. He wants to start the next game already. He's thinking about taking out buildings at a high pace. Swarmos are perfect for that. Uh-oh. Right now, Harstem fan tried to stack all of his Brood Lords for the recall and realized he's playing Zerg. Morphing in 21 Banes as well. This is the bust. The bust of a lifetime. We actually got to look at the follow-up here. Like, what's coming after this, you know? We see the Brutes sacrificing themselves on this base.
Oh, good transfusions.
Not good enough,
or
though.
Good transfuse, one. Singular.
That was not plural. I love the Banelings here. Baneling speed also on the way right now. I'm loving the realization. I think it might be time for a couple of Ultras in the mix. We still have a bunch of Lurkers on the ground here for Harstem fan, so maybe the ground fights aren't going to be much of an issue. What would you say is the next play here for Harstem fan? What are we looking at?
I don't know, but I feel like if Lambro turns his Corruptors into Brute Lords, then Harstem fan is in some trouble. And now at this point he's just engaging into the Lurkers. The last couple of Lurkers are getting so much damage on top of the Roaches. Wow, that looked terrible at first for Harstem fan, but then in the end, his sophisticated army really cleared house there on the ground.
Yes, crazy. And you know what's beautiful now? Is that the Swarm Host, I always compare the Swarm Host to like a little bit of mobile economy, you know? Like, these guys, during their lifetime, are going to get so many kills, just like a probe during its lifetime is going to get minerals. So you know that no matter what happens, as long as they stay alive, they're going to get damage in. And these 8, 9 that are alive on the left side, they're looking for another base snipe, while every lurker is being sacrificed to kill 2 roaches.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the swarmos have been paying off a little bit. Let's see how many kills each of them have. We have 0, 9, 5. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's respectable numbers. It's also not like the supply cost matters here, since he's not maxed at the moment.
Yeah,
and I was just focus firing down the hatchery. Well planned out, multi-prong from Harstem fan, sacrificing his huge lurker army to get the pick-off on the hatchery against his starving opponent.
Yeah, and he can keep doing this forever. It won't cost him anything. He can move them left, right, front, center. Look at him! He's hiding them.
Whoa! There is no way he actually got away with that. That's incredible. Lambro was searching for them, but yeah, he has no chance. Lambro also really struggling for larva at this point.
Yeah, struggling for everything. Now, it is hard to imagine, but Lambro still believes that he has a chance in this game, despite constantly being outplayed by the obviously superior blue Zerg here, who still has 16 hydras, 31 roaches, 8 swarm hosts, and 8 queens as well. I didn't even know there was that many queens. I haven't seen those in use. 65 workers against 50. Like, I feel like a miracle needs to happen at this point for Lambro to have any chance whatsoever. Is that miracle perhaps the Broodlord?
It has to be the Broodlord, right? As you said, on this level, there is no counter to the Broodlord. Unless the Corruptors, I guess. He's morphing 4 Dropper Lords, but where are they?
In the main.
What is he gonna drop?
It's for long distance mining with the drones. But he'll lift them over the cliff. Like this cliff.
Oh, that's faster.
Go from the main to the fourth. He's insane mechanics, this guy.
He's planning ahead for when the swarmos pick up the hatchery once again. Oh no, he found the Dropper Lords! Not the Dropper Lords. He also has 2 mutas for some reason. Yeah, the hydras are just cleaning house. There is no overseer here, of course, so the one lurker will eventually clean up this army, but he's losing the hive, he's losing the tech, and perhaps the game. It has been going downhill for quite a while. Ever
perhaps
since he ran into the...
Really? This is a bold call to make here, Lambo. I'm surprised no betting agencies have contacted you yet for a job. Holy crap. The ball's on you to call it this early. That's wild. Well, this is... Why is he taking out the... He's going for the elimination play here. What?
You're telling me I called it early, but man, if those 7 mutas were Broodlords, we're looking at a game here. And I'm not even kidding. Just half kidding.
Oh,
he's ahead in army. He's ahead in army value. Now, 7 mutas without any upgrades against 3 ultras that are in production.
Ooh.
I'm not sure they can deal with them. One lurker getting huge shots in.
Where's that? Oh, here.
Yeah, it's okay. It died.
Did you see the hatch being picked off though? That's what I was focusing on.
Yeah, it is very important. I mean, those swarmos are somewhat MVPs.
Somewhat. One guy has 15 kills. All of them hatcheries and drones.
All of them. He killed 15 hatcheries.
15 hatcheries.
He's mad, man.
And now he's
remaking them.
Yeah.
Look,
No, it's final trade.
One.
Final trade. Whoop, one more Hydra. Absolute gangsters. Pool is being rebuilt here for Lambro. Also a pretty intense call. That's what he wants to spend his money on. I really feel like you might want to use these corruptors either for peeing on buildings or for some, some Broodlords.
I mean, you are saying that, but he's F2ing them around, so how can he pee on buildings when he needs to move them with the roaches?
That's true. That's a good point.
Oh, he's morphing them into Broodlords now. He realizes the only tech structure he has, so he can't make any other units. So he finally made the right decision and morphed them into Broodlords. I have to question if it's a little too late now.
This is like what happens when you tutorialize new players. You give them limited things, like build 5 marines, and all you give them is a barracks, 250 minerals, and no tech left. Like all you need to do is press A 5 times. That's what we did here for Lambro as well. We took out every other building. It was a greater spire. Now he only has one choice left to make, and he made the correct one. Now he gets to go on to the next part. The opponent has an outpost on the left side. Try taking it out with your Broodlords. they have long range.
It is exactly what's happening. His opponent also making ultras, also getting both Infestor upgrades. He's getting basically every upgrade in the game in a ZvZ, which I have personally never seen before. This many upgrades in a ZvZ is unheard of. He's stutter stepping forward into the Brood Lords, and I mean, that has to be it, right?
Yeah, one would reckon that this is indeed the end of the game. As now there's absolutely nothing. Now there are still some drones long distance mining. I love the urgency of taking the 2 extra gas as well as the 36 more links. Harstem fan seems fairly unaware of how far ahead he is. Yeah, he's just gonna end it. Alright, now I can start speculating about what level I believe this actually is. So I'm just gonna do a mental quick recap while Lambro figures out how to press F10N. So in my mind, our boy Harstem fan, he played a sophisticated game, different unit compositions, but stayed somewhat close. Like they all stayed somewhat close to the meta in the first 10-15 minutes. After that, it went pretty crazy because they probably didn't entirely know how to counter each other's army. So they just started doing weird things, you know, Corruptors for Brutes. Didn't like spellcasters very much. But I think that type of primitive approach is actually a bonus up to a certain level. You know, I'd rather see a gold player with 25 roaches than a gold player with 7 infestors and 3 vipers, 9 roaches and 2 lurkers, because he can't control that. So I actually think might be higher level because of that.
Yeah, that's very fair. I can't believe how nice these guys were to each other, and he's letting himself get eliminated right now.
They had a blast together in the early game. They play literally the most interesting ZvZ I've seen in my life. And then he's just gonna sit here, but maybe he truly believes he still has a chance. Is he still, like, he's still microing and stuff, no?
I wonder if this is maybe League of Legends players that don't know that you're supposed to forfeit.
Yeah, they wait until the game runs out.
Yeah, you're not forfeiting. Like, it's not normal to forfeit your games in most team games.
Yeah.
I guess in League it is. In Dota you can't forfeit.
Oh, he's
dancing
now.
On him.
Okay. Wow. Harstem fans definitely feeling it. Cheeky little GG as well. Alright. I'm gonna make my guess. Just purely based on the fact that he tried to split, he knew how to A move, and he's a Zerg player. And these 3 things combined make me believe this is at least 3750 MMR.
3750, is that your final guess?
That's my final guess.
Okay, so the blue Zerg player's real name was Luminosity.
Luminosity.
He's on an A. I'm not sure if that matters for you guys.
Doesn't matter.
And his MMR is actually lower, quite a bit. He is 3,200 MMR. Ooh. So very close to the replay we've had last week. Actually, a little bit worse, right?
Yeah. A little bit worse. My guess was significantly worse.
Yeah. I mean, if you compare these replays, we had a Protoss with 0 APM half the time last week. And this time we have a Zerg with 268 average APM. But the Zerg is worse, so what does that tell us?
Maybe you should think about army compositions a little bit more. Because this Protoss had a beautiful carrier composition, okay? And he also A-moved, just like the other guys. All right. Well, tough luck. You're up ahead. We'll have a little score screen. And from next week on out, we'll be guessing both at the same time, as we'll have someone else preparing the replays for us. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for today. If you want to watch more of this, be sure to hit the like button. Watch last week's episode as well. That's the first one. And of course, check out our personal channels as well. Lambo recently released a video in which he took strategies that ChatGPT gave him, and he tried to beat some of Europe's best players. I think there's some games against Showtime, Clem, and Sero in there. Is that correct? Yeah, Showtime, Clem, Sero, Piotr. Basically, most of your top Europeans, even Max Specs. Wow, most of the top Europeans. So go and have a look at that. And that's going to be it. Adios, Lambo. Yeah, bye-bye. Was a pleasure.